From Uttar Pradesh, Braj on the other side of the river, in a small cowherd village called Gokul, a herdsman named Nanda and his wife, 5,000 years ago, on a stormy monsoon night in the city of Mathura, in what is now western Uttar Pradesh, a baby was born to a noble couple held in prison by the king. The king was Kamsa, the cruel ruler of Mathura. He had imprisoned his own sister Devaki and her husband Vasudev because a prophecy had told him that her eighth child would kill him. He had already killed 6 of her babies. The 7th had been mysteriously transferred to another womb. Now the 8th had just been born. The infant boy. Kamsa would come for him at dawn. But on this night, the river Yamuna rose. The prison guards fell into a strange deep sleep. The locks on the prison door, of their own accord, opened. Vasudev, the new father, lifted his infant son. He walked out of the prison. He walked across the city. He crossed the flooding Yamuna river in the storm, with the baby held above his head. On the other side of the river, in a small cowherd village called Gokul, a herdsman named Nanda and his wife Yashoda had just given birth to a baby girl. Vasudev exchanged the babies. He left his own son with Yashoda. He took the girl back across the river to the prison. By morning, when Kamsa arrived, he saw only a baby girl in Devaki's arms. He had been waiting for a boy. He decided to kill the girl anyway, just to be safe. The girl, the legend says, slipped from his hands as he raised her, became a goddess in midair, laughed at him, and disappeared. The boy who was prophesied to kill him was already across the river, in the home of a cowherd, drinking milk from a borrowed mother. He was named Krishna. Krishna grew up at Gokul, and later at the nearby village of Vrindavan, in the heart of the Braj region. The cowherd families of Braj had no idea who he really was. To them, he was simply a charming, dark-skinned boy with a peacock feather in his hair, who played the flute, danced with the cowherd girls, stole butter from every household, killed any demon the king of Mathura sent to kill him, and generally turned the village upside down with mischief. The mothers complained about him constantly. The girls were in love with him. The flute he played was so haunting that the cows would stop chewing to listen. Even the river Yamuna, the legend says, would slow her current when she heard it. One year, the harvest came late. The villagers of Vrindavan were preparing to do the annual sacrifice to Indra, the king of the gods, who controlled the rains. Krishna, then perhaps 7 or 8, came home and asked his father Nanda what they were doing. Nanda explained, "We sacrifice to Indra. He gives us rain. The rain feeds our grass. The grass feeds our cows. Our cows give us milk. We owe him." Krishna shook his head. He said, "Father, Indra does not feed us. The Govardhan hill feeds us. The hill makes the rain. The hill grows the grass. We have always lived in the shadow of the hill. Let us, this year, do the sacrifice for the hill itself, not for an absent god who lives in the clouds." Nanda was uncertain. But Krishna persuaded the whole village. They cancelled the offering to Indra. They held a great festival around Govardhan instead. They climbed the hill. They sang. They danced. They left food at every footprint of every cow. Up in the heavens, Indra learned of the insult. He was furious. He was a god of considerable pride. He summoned the storm clouds of the 7 heavens. He gathered them over Vrindavan. He commanded them to release every drop they had, not as a rain, but as a punishment. The rain that came down was not a normal rain. It came as a wall of water. Within minutes, the cowherd huts began to collapse. The cows panicked. The children cried. The Yamuna river broke her banks. The whole village was about to drown. Krishna walked out into the storm. He walked to the foot of Govardhan hill. He looked up at it. He bent down. He slipped his small left hand under the base of the hill, on the smallest finger of his left hand. He lifted Govardhan up off the ground. He held the hill above his head, the whole hill, like a giant umbrella, on the smallest finger of his left hand. He called to the villagers. He said, "Come under the hill. Bring your cows. Bring your children. Come under the hill." The villagers ran. They poured under the lifted mountain. The animals, the children, the elders. The hill held. Krishna stood there, in the rain, with the mountain on his fingertip, for 7 days and 7 nights. Indra raged from the sky. The rain doubled, tripled, redoubled. Krishna did not move. The hill did not slip. On the 8th day, Indra, exhausted of clouds, exhausted of pride, finally realized what he had been raining against. He came down himself, in the form of a tall king dressed in white, to the foot of the hill. He fell at Krishna's feet. He said, "I did not know who you were. Forgive me." Krishna lowered the hill, very gently, back to the earth. The villagers came out from under it. They blinked in the sunshine. The Yamuna receded. The grass began to recover. Krishna, still 7 or 8 years old, smiled at Indra. He said, "I am not greater than you, brother. I am not lesser either. We are the same divinity in different costumes. Worship who is near you. The hill is near. Worship the hill." Indra bowed. He returned to heaven. The story of the lifting of Govardhan spread across India. It is still painted on the walls of every Krishna temple. The village of Vrindavan, the hill of Govardhan, and the surrounding Braj region became, over the next many centuries, the heart of Hindu Krishna worship. Krishna himself, in this story, is only a boy. He has not yet gone to Mathura. He has not yet fought the great war of the Mahabharata at Kurukshetra. He has not yet delivered the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna on the battlefield. He is still simply the dark-skinned cowherd's son of Vrindavan, who liked to play the flute, and who lifted a hill once for 7 days because his village was in trouble. And every year, even now, in the month of Kartik, lakhs of pilgrims come to Govardhan Hill in Mathura district. They walk barefoot all the way around its base, 21 kilometers, in a single day. They are remembering, the priests will tell you, what the boy did once for them. They are saying thank you to the small finger that held up a mountain. Tomorrow's story comes from another corner of India. Subscribe to walk with us through the folklore of every region, in your language.